Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Creative Communities Grants meeting. I have a conflict of interest in this one, so I'm going to hand over the chair to Councillor Tamaki to take the rest of the meeting. Can I get a seconder, please? Oh, thank you.
Tēnā tātou e te whare. I just want to open with a short karakia to get us on our way in terms of our hui. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina kina kuta, kia mā taratara ki tai. I hiakana te a tāpura, e tio, e huka, e hauhu, ti hei, mauri ora. I also want to acknowledge the contribution from Mihi Rafiti Sarang, who has officially resigned, and I also want to welcome onto the committee Maxine. So no maihara mai e hoa. And so we will commence with the following apologies. Is there any apologies? No. Any late items? A declaration of conflict of interest.
Yes, I do on item number 3, so I will vacate the room when that's discussed.
Can I have a movement and a seconder, please? And a seconder. Right. Confirmation of minutes from June 2023. Can I have a mover?
Yep, I'll move that.
Thank you. Ka pai. So moving on to our whakatauki.
Kia ora everybody. No te raurau, nā kau te raurau, ka ora ai te iwi. With your food basket and my food basket, the people will thrive. This whakatauki talks to community, to collaboration, and a strength-based approach. It acknowledges that everybody has something to offer, a piece of the puzzle, and by working together, we can all flourish.
Tēnā koe hoa. So, no further ado, let's move on to item 3. Hand it over to you, Nikki.
Kia ora. This is the Aotearoa Creative Communities Scheme Grants Fund, consideration of applications for round 1 of 2023-24. The fund is a relationship between Creative New Zealand and local authorities, which supports opportunities for New Zealanders to participate in the arts in their local area. Each local authority has an assessment panel that represents its communities, with these panels making the funding decisions. This is round 1, the first of 2 rounds for 23-24, and it has received 6 applications, requesting a total of $14,687.17. The annual funding for both rounds across the year is $21,150. And noting that anything unspent within this first round 1 will roll over to round 2, and it's up to the discretion of the committee how they divide the funds of these 2 rounds. I am delighted to also note that we have had 5 new applicants to the Creative Communities Scheme this round. We have offered funding clinics where the artists can come in and discuss their ideas, develop and strengthen their projects, and also assist them in how they describe their projects and budget their projects. We have also included activities to actually address what kind of barriers that practicing artists may face in applying for these funds, particularly as the creative arts is an expressive realm and it doesn't necessarily translate into funding applications. So we're doing our best to address those barriers and strengthen our people. As a note, all line items have been checked and have been cleared by our regional arts advisor and have been confirmed for their eligibility. I'm delighted that we have two applicants who are present with us today in chambers, and they will be speaking to their projects and talking a bit about their art practice and themselves as artists. They are Adam Tikahara Wright and Mike Brown, with an apology from the Otorohanga Arts Conduit, who unfortunately can't be present. So unless I have any initial questions from the committee, I'd like to invite our first guest speaker. So introducing, if I could have Mike and Lee. Oh, sorry, Adam. So I'm delighted to introduce artist Adam Tikahara Wright. And we're just going to, he's also brought in Lee, who you might know from Town in Origin Coffee, who is here to support Adam in his artistic journey. And Adam's just going to talk a little bit about how did you become a carver? Tell us about your artistic journey.
And my dad directed me into at that time it was called Kokiri, and I helped on the projects of in 1989 Commonwealth Games or 90s, helped carve those, and from there I went down to Wellington to help down in Waitangirua at Marairo on the marae there. I also carved up in Ruatoria on out there. Awatere, that's it, Awatere. I also went to Ngāti Te Wano Raukawa in Otaki, did a bit of carving there for a couple of years, and then I went to the Te Wano Aotearoa and got 2 diplomas plus a bursary in carving. But I couldn't complete my carving because our master carver passed away. And I did have chisels up to about 2014 until they got stolen. And, yeah.
Would you like to tell us about the beautiful piece that you've brought in for everybody
Yeah,
to
this
see?
is my boy's namesake, Kokia Tengawari. What I heard when my father was alive, that he was a Ngāti Toa chief. That's my boy's namesake. Patterns on it is Hai Pakati or Niho Taniwha, chief of the Taniwha. I also did the tika at the back of it, and that's for challenges and that. I've done carving for about since the age of 15, and I'm 51 now. And I haven't done it since 2014.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about the project that you want to do at the men's shed?
Oh yeah, I want to teach people, male and female, how to just the basics of carving, so they can sort of maybe take it up as a hobby or a career. And I want to do it for Aroha, you know. I don't want anything for it. All I need is chisels, really. Yeah.
What does art give you?
A peace of mind and soul. I love it. It brings me, brings me down to level.
Is there any questions from the committee?
I just had a comment that I thought that very strong kaupapa and was well thought through across every category that we asked for. And I thought the application was really well put together in terms of content and the way it was expressed. So congratulations. Verified.
Yeah, just want to make it to you. So this is the stuff that we want to hear about. Like, this is the stuff that we want to be able to give, to enable, yourselves, our creative people to be able to give back to our communities. And I think having you come in today, talk to us about, your art, show us your art, is priceless. And, the amount of money that you have on this paper is, for me, is not enough. However, if I had a well of unlimited putia, mate, you could have it. So, I just want to mihi to you because it's not always easy to come into setting like this and display who you are, because that's who you are. So, tēnā tātou.
Ai, tēnā koe, tēnā korua, koe tai mai, he tuatahi. Tēnā rā koe, te tūpuna koe tai mai nei e, tēnā rā koe. Ai, mi harora lātu. This kind of kaupapa is really, really big. And to bring it here for us to just see a small part, it is a privilege. Kia.
I don't think I can add much because they've said, thank you for sharing you with us. I think, ooh. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you teach people.
Heather, you got anything online?
Do you have any comments?
Just that everybody else has said, I wish I could see it close up, and I look forward to hearing more about your workshop when you get underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this stage, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay. We're just gonna go through the stuff. But if you want to take your leave, you take your leave. And Nikki will be in touch with our.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Thank you
bye.
very much.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to now invite the artist Mike Brown to come up and speak about his work and introduce his project. Thank you, Mike.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Mike Brown tuku ingo, ko Ngamihi koutou katoa. You have to excuse me, I've still ganked up with hay fever. I know that's not an excuse, but just trying to think and especially for an occasion like this, you need everything on deck, and sadly my mind is sort of impartial with all the meds that I'm on. So without an excuse, I just want to thank you, you guys for being here. I know there's other things that you'd like to do apart from listening to me. But I just wanted to talk for Lee as well. His work's incredible, and really privileged to be here as well. I struggled with my pepeha just before, so please bear with me, and thank you. Tēnā koutou.
Would you like to tell us about the role that art has had in shaping your life?
It's shaped my life. I mean, if you've seen my CV, you know, I was brought up in the marae pretty much back in the day. And growing up around my uncles and aunties and nannies, art was really to the forefront. And not saying all of us sort of gravitated towards art, but I did. And 58 years later, I'm still on that journey. And I'm quite blessed to be able to, you know, offer a piece of my will to the community of Otaronga, and a personal thanks to Otaronga for allowing me to partake in it. Yeah, so the journey for me has been a never-ending one, but it still has challenges and a lot of work that I have in regards to different charities that I support, and that very much focused with those, and yeah, and the educational side of it as well. Biggest thing I find is a lot of us, a lot of left brain. If you heard the right and left brain theory, there's a lot of left brain going on at the moment, and it's quite sad. I mean, us as human beings, we have two sides to our brain, and the right side is sometimes left dormant. And I always said to one of my nannies, you know, one day I hope to, you know, inject a bit of that creativity into the right brain, so that a lot more of us, especially on the human side, that it makes for a wonderful world.
Would you like to tell us about, you're really intrigued by the koru and developing the idea and kind of sharing the idea of the koru. Do you want to talk about your project?
Yeah, so this project is about the koru, or the kōwhaiwhai pattern, which is basically everywhere. It's just not unique to Māori. Through my many years of studying the kōwhaiwhai pattern and koru and many of the other taonga, it's popped up in every sector right around the world, actually, through many other cultures. But for me personally, yeah, it has been a long life journey of mine to try and push that koru pattern to somewhere unique, somewhere that you can take to a new place, whether it be a combination of different colors, maybe a three-dimensional, whether it be lighting, whether it be computerized. You know, I'm one of those ones that wants to try and push that envelope to try and give the koru, or this great taonga that we possess, yeah, a more advertising role, or you know, just to push it for me personally, yeah. Which is part of who I am, really, pushing the envelope, which I still do in my creative art, whether it be painting, whether it be sculpting, whether it be carving, whether it be resin work, whether it be, yeah, putting tires and cutting up tires, or Coca-Cola bottles, you know, having that creativeness to be able to expand in that. And not only that, but to also, the main focus, of course, is to engage with the public, the community sector, because I think that's where the real benefit pays off.
So part of your project is also involving those people within a workshop and also a discussion group. Would you like to expand on that a little bit for the committee?
Yes, so with the discussion group, that's part of the community involvement process that I wanted to engage with, so that it gives people the opportunity to, not just Māori, but all people in the community, basically to engage in this taonga, and to have an input, and to get that right brain going, so that they can have that feel or just to have a little bit of a slice of what it is like to be a creative and to have a taonga like the koru. Yeah. Hope that makes sense.
Do the committee have any questions that they would like to ask? Mike?
Tēnā koe, Mike. He nui ra wātu tēnei kaupapa ni. It's a huge, again, it's a huge kaupapa. But I like it. Yeah. I wish you all the best with this. And it's similar to Te Reo Māori. The journey is a lifelong thing. So, kia pai. Kia atu.
Remembered. I thought the three areas, three activities we're doing were a very interesting, comprehensive mix. You know, I mean, I hope to know when the discussion group is on, they kind of. Yeah. I'd wondered about giving people a core template, talk about giving a template, and wondered whether you were giving them a template rather than letting them observe the core and to create their own. And I thought maybe it's because it's a 2-hour workshop and you don't feel there's enough time to do the drawing, the colour, the shading, etc. But I thought now if you made it a 3-hour workshop, I think they could draw the rather than just use the template, so there's that extra attention on an observation.
Yeah, it does get a bit long. Through experience, I've noticed people do drop off quite quickly, especially now with all the devices and time pressures that a lot of people are under. I've actually tried to shorten it, to be honest. The main thing I want to capture is just to get people to leave their phones, to leave part of their job or whatever aside and come into a neutral space. The actual exhibition will be, it's like a distraction when you set up an exhibition because you have colors and you have it I have it in a certain way so that the distraction starts straight away. So that when they enter the gallery, where the exhibition will be, they actually get sort of lost. And that's part of that whole engagement process. And like you said, trying to draw it out to 3 hours is quite a long time.
Could you put the drawing, observation drawing of the kuru into the 2 hours? So rather than doing a template, that was really my
Oh,
question.
sorry, yes, yeah, no, they will be separate. So we'll have those separate. So they won't be sort of like, we're going to go all bang and bust all at once. Because the other thing I realize is people's time as well. So I'll put that aside and yeah, we'll do that. It's good.
Either you got anything?
Kia ora. No, I don't think I have any questions. It sounds really awesome, and I think I will be trying to come too. Yeah, I think I understood your answer just now to Jeanette was about having those both options available, and that you're wanting to build in success for perhaps people that are less confident and therefore capture their attention for longer because there's some success built in your template. So I liked your answer where you talked about you'll have it handy, and you'll assess who needs it when, just in time to stop their phones coming back out. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say fantastic. Anything that can help get the other side of the brain switched on, because I know how hard it is to go from this setting to a creative setting, and get people off devices. Yeah, yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've just got a little comment. So mine is just around, I listen to Maxine and Te Ao Māori works in lots of different formations. And so, as Māori, we are quite creative anyway, whether that be in the physical art like building, carving, Māori performing arts. So I understand the whole concept of, of you wanting to be able to give. Again, there's another attribute of Te Ao Māori is to give. And so to be able to create a space where for lots of people, a kuru is quite orientated towards a Māori concept, but to actually take it into another format like you're talking about, for me, it's opening our world from a Māori perspective wider than what, we can only hope for, that we make it transferable for everybody to be able to use, and that we make it part of who they are and not just what it means for us. So, because it's not an easy concept, and I take my hat off to you, because you've always got those, those non-believers in the background, especially when it comes to creative practice. But I support you wholeheartedly to engage with our communities to be able to bring these taonga of revitalisation, generalisation, all of those things that for me as a Māori I hold so dear to. So ngā mihi I takoha mai, nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. So again, if you would like to stay, you're more than welcome. But if you would like to take your leave, you can do so, and Nikki will get in touch with you. Right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to me tonight. And thank you.
Okay, our lovely Ms. Daly. We're going to go back up and we're going to make a decision on the money for the first two, and then we'll just track through like we would on that.
Just before we do that, I just wanted to perhaps note that while we had 6 applicants to begin with, we've had one. So Carol, I'm not quite sure if you want to speak to why Carol Shepherd's removed.
Thank you very much for reminding me. So we had 6 applicants originally, and we had one applicant retract their application just before the committee meeting, which was from Carol Shepherd, and it was due to time pressures. So so I'd like that noted, but we wish Carol loads of love and support. She's fantastic. She's fantastic. It's because she's doing so much in the community. She's a busy, busy lady. Okay. So working through the applicants that we have at this stage. Yep. So the first applicant we have is Adam Tikahara Wright. Okay. Thank you. So the first applicant we have is Adam Tikahara Wright. His project title is Mahi Taonga, which is a beginner's traditional wood carving course over 5 days, and it's Otorohanga based. All line items, as a note, have been checked and are eligible. And he is applying for $1,625.96. Over to you.
Right. I'm quite happy to support the cost. Yep. Yep. So we'll, Heather?
Sorry, I couldn't find my microphone with the new screen share screen. Yes, yeah, I've had any questions I had have been answered by his kōrero, so I'm happy with that.
The full amount. Yeah, same.
The second applicant we have is Mike Brown. Mike's project title is Kuru. It is a preparation of an exhibition, a free half-day public drawing workshop, and an evening discussion group, which aims to stimulate and encourage community awareness of the Kuru. His project is Otorohanga based. All line items are eligible, and he has applied for $1,968.74.
So I'm in support of it.
Second that.
Heather,
Yep, yeah, that's good. Thank you.
so let's leave it at the full amount, Nikki.
Okay, application number 3 is the Otorohanga Creative Conduit.
I'm just gonna leave the room for this one.
Kia ora. The Otorohanga Arts Conduit or Creative Conduit is a creative hub in Otorohanga consisting of art workshops, arts networking events, a pop-up gallery shop, a window display, and a community arts ambassador who facilitates arts opportunities. The project is Otorohanga based. All line items are eligible, and the amount they have applied for is $3,000.
Right, let's have a discussion. What do you all think? Heather?
So I'm just pulling it up again in front of me so I can see it, read it. I realized when I was reading that some of the pages hadn't loaded, which is not helpful. I wasn't sure 100% which part of the project was being funded, so some clarification on that would be helpful.
Okay, do we have some clarity?
So the Creative Conduit Otorohanga it's a substantial project with loads of layers. And it's about establishing a presence in existing community spaces and being a mobile unit that can pop up in different places, which include places like the Otorohanga Museum. Or empty places in town. And it consists of the classes and the workshops. So these workshops will involve making opportunities for local artists to have the chance to teach. So we have the invitation of local artists being able to come in and do workshops as a tutor, perhaps some of them for the first time. So having an opportunity to actually transfer those skills to people. And people in the community will be able to purchase for a very, reasonable cost, a place in workshops, or they could be free. And I would imagine it's on a case-by-case basis, workshop to workshop. But it is important the organisation is actually a not-for-profit, so they're not there to make a profit. The person who would be in charge of the project is Rebecca Dalman-Napo, who is a local artist, very established, and is also an experienced teacher. So she has previously run a similar program in Te Awamutu to much success, which was over several months, and it was a similar kind of setup. So it was a place for local artists to show their work. She'd also support them to upskill. They can show their work. They can actually also then learn how to put on classes for the public as well. It's quite multifaceted. It's very layered, but Rebecca definitely has that experience to be able to carry it off because she has done that in Te Awamutu really quite recently. Yes, so that's as much as I know. Over to you.
Nikki, do they have other applications in? Because it's a 35,000 and this is for 3,000. So how are they making up the remaining money?
Great question. Thank you. So they do have, they have worked extremely hard putting together other applications to other funding bodies to make this project happen. So they've really done a lot of research and knowing that you can't pull a big project together like this from one pot. So they have already got funding from $5,000 from Trust Waikato and $8,000 from the Otorohanga Charitable Trust. So bearing in mind that this kind of project it can flex, it has the flex in it because Rebecca has that knowledge of how to kind of expand and contract according to the cost. So already having 5,000 plus 8,000 plus a possible 3,000, someone do the maths for me. There's definitely scope there to pull it off. Pardon? There we go, 16. Thank you, Nadia. Yes.
I've got a lot of questions about this. For example, with the, there's a lot of lack of information here, and it's almost like, she's going off the Te Awamutu one, the Waipo one, and we don't have that story there. And the question I would have is, well, what happened at the end of the Te Awamutu one? Did it just, that's it? No, what was sustained? So that was one question. I strongly support the need for artists to connect in the community. I agree with that one. The idea of giving local artists a chance to teach, if they haven't had some teacher training, it's a very different thing to have someone who's artist, a really good artist, and also someone who's got the teaching skills. So one of the things I put in was if Rebecca could run a workshop to help them understand what adult learners are about. It's very different. I've been to workshops where it's been an artist that's taught who has no teaching background, and it's so different from someone. I'm not saying everyone has to be a trained teacher. What I'm saying, they do need to understand the learning process for adults and how to support them. The other one I've got is it that every participant will have to pay, or are some of those workshops going to be free? Is any of this money going to be to run free workshops? So a lot of people will look at $30, $50 and saying, I can't afford that. I can't participate. And my last question, there's quite a few, is in terms of decisions to display work, is she going to get a panel of artists together to make some judgments about the quality of the work that's put up? Yeah, I think she needs to have a core there to sort of help with that, to help the decisions with that, but also to make sure that it's going to travel into the future and not just finish, as I think the Te Awamutu one did.
I agree with Jeanette regarding the training. It's completely different being able to create and then to facilitate and teach other people. That's my background. I have been teaching Te Reo Māori to adult learners, and adult learners are, in a nice way, worse than kids because they know more. So it's going to be very hard to be able to facilitate. I also have family who facilitate rāranga, but they're not very good in explaining as well to adult learners, and adults, they need explanations in detail. So I am worried about that mainly, yeah.
I suppose I have one upon is that they're actually looking for other streams of money, because that's a huge project when you look at the amount of money they're looking for, so that's a plus for me. One of the other things I like is that there is that ability to flex and retract as they need to. I also I am a little bit concerned because it is a little bit like how sustainable is it going to be, and how big is the impact or the outcome going to be, which is for me, it's about that precedence we set, because if there's like I look at the first two, and the impact and the like just within this room was massive, and then I kind of wishy-washy the next one was. So I don't know if it's because there's no one here to talk to it, but it's those being able to teach adult learners what outcomes are going to come when you think about 16,000 flexing, retracting in. What, you know, if she retracts in or they retracted, what outcome are we going to get? Is it going to be? So I am a little bit concerned. I'm happy to support anything creative in our community, because I think it's good for our hauora, it's good for our well-being, it's, you know, all of that. But I am a little bit like, not being arty or anything, but having a husband and children who are very arty. So I'm quite happy to go with the majority rules for some of this, and whether we shave some, whether we give the whole amount. Should we leave it as it is and then move to the next one, and we just let it ponder for a little bit, then we come back to it, maybe?
Yeah, I think there's a real lack of clarity about what it actually is, you know.
Yeah, I would say too, just having some clarity over where the funds were targeted would be useful. So if we knew it was workshops, then we would feel possibly more comfortable. It's just not knowing exactly where that fund is going. If it's on materials, like if it was on a material kit, like a tool kit, so when they go to their pop-up space, they've got some paint, they've got some rollers, they've got bits and pieces to help set that pop-up space. I think maybe there's some kōrero we could have around how could that money be packaged? So as you say, we can see an impact from it, and we can see how the funding that Creative NZ assigns has some longevity in with her further impact or further projects. Because the idea is really awesome. And it's just those sort of small details of, I'm asking for this money for this part of my project. Yeah.
If I could just offer some suggestions here, Nikki, because we're not in a situation in this committee. We have to make decisions, right?
Yep.
Within this committee, so it's not like we can go away and have that conversation and come back. Is there anything in what you know of this application, Nikki, where you could suggest a range of things that they could put that money towards that would make this committee feel comfortable with going, yes, that's $3,000 would go towards this. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something exactly, but out of a list of these things which you've mentioned that you'll be paying for, the committee is happy for the $3,000 to go to any or all of this list. Is that helpful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
it'll also
if
make
I may
their
just-
reporting easier too, wouldn't it? If they have that when they come to report on the funding, it would be easier for them as well.
And if I can just maybe offer a word of caution around us setting any precedent around people having skills to teach workshops. We've just had two lovely gentlemen in here today who we haven't asked the same of. So if we're asking of one, we ask of all.
Yep.
And I think that might limit people that we invite into to participate in creative communities.
Can
such
I
as
add
the
that,
board.
though, is that both Adam and Mike, yeah, they both talked about workshops that they have done lots of in the past. And so I read into that they had a lot of experience with working with adult learners. And so sometimes the experience builds up your ability to do things. Whereas we're talking here about artists who have not done this before. The other thing that I thought there was a bit of confusion about is the workshops were talked about in two different ways. One was workshops for artists to come together, have discussions and to strengthen and connect. But then you're talking about workshops in terms of the people, and they were getting confused. Yeah, I like your suggestion though, Nadia.
I'd actually like to see some learning outcomes
Yeah.
from the facilitating. And see what those outcomes would be. That's what I'd like to see. Nice.
Sorry, if you just give me a wee moment and I'll delve in.
Nikki, do you need 5 to 10 minutes, or is it a couple of minutes just in terms of the meeting?
Let's not push you too much.
Yeah.
Let's give you some time.
We've got time in the evening, but how much time would you like now?
I think in order to give the application the respect it deserves, then if I could have a few minutes, 5 minutes to look into my files deeply, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
So we're just going to adjourn for 5 minutes to give Nikki the time to gather some more data. Thank you, committee members. We will reconvene. Over to you.
Hilda, okay, so having delved into the application a little deeper, I think what I could recommend to the committee is that the funds could be tagged towards workshop delivery fees for the local artists to deliver these workshops. So in terms of like a kind of overarching umbrella, Rebecca Domanapo, the project lead, would be going out and sourcing those local artists who specialize in different types of technique or different types of skills. And the funding of that $3,000 could go towards the delivery of those workshops. Rebecca could guide them through the process of how to put together a class and a lesson plan. And then those funds could be paid to those artists to deliver them to the public.
That sounds much more clearer in terms of where the money will be distributed and the outcome that we'll see out of it. So I'm in support. Everyone else okay with that, with the 3,000? Heather?
Yep, that sounds good.
So 3,000. Yes.
Okay, moving on to applicant number 4. Kawhia School. Their project is Whakapākari Toi, the preparation and delivery of youth art workshops around Kawhia stories and history by engaging experts in acting, dance, claywork, artistic painting, rongoa, gift making, and contemporary Māori craft design. Is based in Kawhia. All items are checked as eligible, and they are applying for $2,000.
Anyone up for quarter? Yes. Good.
I thought it was a really strong kaupapa and really good to see local whānau being drawn into school to do this. She makes Leanne makes the comment that they're not professional artists, but they have got absolutely the learning of those children at heart. But I am raising a question about the information about what the students are going to learn skill-wise. What are the learning outcomes? I know what the areas they're learning, but for those particular skills, like it's clay or dance or whatever it is, I'm sure that the school does have some learning outcomes they're wanting, but they haven't put into their application. And I talked to Nikki about this. I've talked to Nikki about this during the week, and you were going to see if you could find out a bit more information.
I did call the school, and they do have, they They do have clear outcomes that the students will be learning, particularly clay making, wire sculpture, collage, drawing, and particularly performance skills. So the instilling a sense in the children of the confidence to be able to stand up in front of their peers, which is a very difficult thing to do when you're young, and to be able to act and perform confidently. And that rolls on to, apart from acting and dance, also into speech making. So those are the kind of outcomes that they will be focusing on.
Will they get feedback? Has Leanne taken on that feedback? You know, so if they put in applications in the future, that they'll be able to sort of make it a bit fuller to really understand a lot more about what it is.
I can, at the end of, I take notes during this process based on your contributions to these deliberation meetings. And I do give one-to-one bespoke feedback to every single applicant, whether successful or not, about the strengths of their projects and also where they can improve. So absolutely, those kind of comments I do feed across. It's also really important that if an applicant in whatever grant that they're applying to, if they are not successful, that they are not put off by the project process, that they feel supported and encouraged to apply next time. And that can only happen if we feed them back really positive, helpful, practical tips on how to get those things through and how to improve and upskill. So yes, absolutely.
Heather, you got anything?
I just had a question about, I'm just thinking in terms of curriculum and the criteria in terms of creative in schools, and whether this was a crossover or whether it would have been funding under the creative in schools, or I wasn't quite sure how the two sorts of funds and a project like this, where it fits in terms of what's normal curriculum in the school, which I think there's a note in the guideline about. So Nikki, I don't know if you can sort of elaborate a little bit on that.
So schools are eligible to apply to this fund as long as it does fall out of normal arts curriculum, which, because they are inviting external artists in, does fall out of that. So it's outside of the normal curriculum, and they have stated that. Also, as a note, there is a nationwide initiative called Creatives in Schools. So I wasn't actually sure which one you're referring to.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
The nationwide one. So the nationwide one is central government funding. They are generally for larger projects where an artist is embedded within the school for at least a term. So, and sometimes up to a year. So they're very long term. They are not quick turnaround projects like this. And it's really important that we have this distinction, because these kind of quick turnaround projects allow communities and schools to kind of get those have quicker kind of, more flexibility, kind of quicker movement and those kind of things. Whereas applying for larger grants that last a year, it's a huge amount of time for a teacher and a school to put together an application for that. But I think when you use this as a pilot, it's a fantastic grounding for then that school to kind of roll out and go, right, this is super successful. We did really well with this. We now want to apply for the big bucks. We want to get an artist for the whole year. I have been looking at those national funds and figuring out how we can go out and support those schools with their applications to get artists in for those larger projects. So, but if we think about this fund as a kind of pilot project that could roll into something larger.
That's cool. That's good. I just wondered about the clarification between those two funds. So that's been really helpful to get a sense of how they could tie together, and how creative, our smaller rounds could support that. Thank you. That was my question answered.
So for me, it's similar. So I'm born and bred in Kawhia, And we have so much history within Kāwhia. And I think having the ability to give them a taster, because that's kind of what it is, to see if it works for the kids, to see if what they've been taught at kura is actually lining up and they can use it in other forms, is a great opportunity. And I think too, when you add context of rongoa, when you add context of dance, when you add all those other little bits of kaupapa to this kaupapa, $2,000 seems very little, but however, it is a taster, and if it works for them, hey, we will get some beautiful creative kids coming out of Kāwhia. So I am in support. Any other comments? No? So we are happy to fund for the 2,000?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Nikki.
Moving on to our final applicant, applicant number 5. We have Nimbus Media. The project is Otorohanga Digital Storytelling Workshop. It is a one-to-one support to craft a personal narrative and upskill with digital tools to illustrate and complete a short audio-visual film. It's a 2-day workshop and an associated screening of those works, and it is Otorohanga based. All line items are eligible, and they are applying for $4,265.
Who would like to make some comment?
Yeah, I will. I like this idea. I'm a storyteller by nature, written and verbal, so I like it. And I think it'll be an interesting workshop. Very interesting.
When you put the technology in it, the amount of funding that's required and requested is always more. And you sort of look at everyone's and think, well, they're all doing such wonderful things, but they're getting 1,000 something or other. But the technology just takes it to a different level. So I certainly support it. Yeah.
Any?
Yeah, I'm ditto with you ladies. Just, you said it's gonna be in Otorohanga? Like venue and suburb?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
just on the application, it's got TBD.
Oh, to be determined.
Yeah,
It will be based in Otorohanga district, yes.
Yeah.
So most likely, Otorohanga township.
yeah, no, that was my only query, to be just discussed or just, yeah. Okay.
You got anything?
It looked like a pretty robust application. And yes, I mean, as soon as you get tech stuff in, it does get expensive. But I think that they're asking reasonable fees for their facilitators and things. That's so yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I attended a workshop delivered by Dr. Helen Clark, and she's a storyteller from Ngaitahu, and she made reference actually to a era that we don't teach, and that's kōrero paki or storytelling, paki waitara. And so children in particular learn through storytelling. And it was interesting today at Kai when Katrina said to you, how do you know all this stuff? Hey, and some of it is through the storytelling and experience and all of that stuff. And I think, like Jeanette said, when you add the technology, it does take the cost up, but I think it's a great way to instill that the art of storytelling is some of the biggest learning opportunities we can give. So I'm totally in support of being able to teach people to storytell again. because we quite often forget about it, so. Yeah, I'm in support. Are we all in support for the 4,265? Thank you. Nikki.
Yes.
Okay, we have a running total of $12,859.70. With all applicants at this stage receiving their requested funding.
Sorry, it doesn't leave us a lot of money for the second round, but they're such good applications.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So we can't.
Sorry, Nikki, can you just do a wee sum underneath that running total, which is equals sum bracket? The 21. Hold on. Yeah. So we can just see exactly what's.
We're only left with about 8,300 for the next one.
8,209. So then the question is, are we happy to fall on that 12,000 and only have 8,000 to give away next tranche?
Sometimes if you take away money, it means that the project's just not viable, so sometimes you have to make that decision. Fund the whole thing or not at all.
I'm happy with us funding what's here, and then we just obviously just got to have what we have in the next round and see what applicants we get then. But this is what we've got in front of us now, and I'd be happy to, fund that.
Do more applications usually come in for the first or second? Is there any pattern?
From what I've seen, no, there is no pattern. No. Not with these. Sport is a little
Yeah.
different, but community and arts is pretty solid each time.
But since you've taken on this role and the huge amount of work you do, I want to say thank you. Thank you, because you're amazing. There will be this amount, I believe. And I'm just picking up and on what Jeanette said, like sometimes if we don't fund the whole amount, a project doesn't get off the ground. Most of these projects, we're funding the whole amount.
So we fund to enable, and so listening to Councillor Christensen, if we don't fund the full amount, these things don't get over the line, and I get that. For me, it's about setting a precedence, and it's about making sure that we are funding for success, so that we do get the clearer applications coming through to the caliber that they're coming through at. So again, Nikki, thank you, because that's amazing that the applications are coming through clear and solid, like they're solid. And so, I'm quite happy to fund what we are. And that, the next time around, we are, it is contestable, and that's what we want it to be. At the end of the day, so we get the best things coming forward in terms of diversity across the board. So
The mail out that you do, But maybe that's not the right term these days, email out that you do to so many different groups is such a, people know about it now. And often in quite a few of the applications, they talk about that they heard it from your email out to people. Yeah. I mean, that's something that didn't happen way in the past because there wasn't someone dedicated to doing all that. Yeah, we do a great job.
May I say it's a delight.
Are we all happy to fund what we have on paper? Yep, makes sense.
So we'll just share the resolution with you again on the screen so you can clearly see what you're approving.
Okay. So I'll read it out. Are you okay to read it or do I have to read it out? Read it, okay. That the Creative Community Scheme Committee approves the applications listed below from, can you move it over, please, Clive? From the Otorohanga Creative Community Scheme Fund and distributes the funds as listed to successful applicants. As listed. Can I have a mover? And a seconder? All in favour?
I,
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
successful applicants.
And so. I think so, yeah. Also, I just wanted to thank you all again for another successful giving out of money. It's always an honour to do that, and it's always lovely to use in this time of being able to do that. So I just want to close and wish you a safe trip home and back to Kawhia, and that your families are well, and that, you know, we look forward to doing this all again in the next tranche. Kei noi tātou, kia tātou katoa, te ata whai o te tātou ari ki a Karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga taitanga, te wairua tapu, ake, 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 āmine. Āmine.